the most Chaddock poker hands in WSOP history.
Lazar wins it!
Yes! 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 Tell me I had it!
What if I told you that the difference between glory and devastation in poker sometimes comes down to a single card, a one-outer, or a once-in-a-lifetime cooler? At the World Series of Poker, WSOP, those moments aren't rare, they're legendary. From billion-dollar bluffs to river cards that rip hearts apart, WSOP has given us the most chaotic hands in the history of the game. These aren't just bad beats, they're cinematic, gut-wrenching moments that left even the pros in disbelief. And once you see them, you'll never look at poker the same way again. First, let's come to one of the craziest hands in poker history took place on day 1 of the 2005 WSOP main event. Jennifer Harman was dealt pocket queens and raised to 200. Corey Zeidman, who had made a stud final table the previous year, held 9-8 of diamonds and decided to call. Now the flop, which came 10, Jack, Queen. Harman flopped a set of queens, but Zeidman hit a queen-high straight. This setup was a recipe for potential chaos. Davis checked to Harman, who bet 500 chips with her set of queens. Zeidman, holding the lowest 2 cards of the straight, raised to 2,000. When you're sitting on the bottom end of a straight, the smart move is often to bet big, scare off opponents, and avoid someone drawing to a higher straight. Brady Davis folded, leaving the action on Harman. The pressure was now on Jennifer Harman, who faced a 1,500 chip decision. That's no small amount this early in the tournament. Choosing caution over aggression, she decided to just call. Zeidman still held the lead as we went to the turn, but the turn card brought a disaster for him, the 10 of diamonds. That paired the board and gave Harman a full house. She checked, slow playing her now dominant hand. For Zeidman, however, that turn card looked promising. It gave him a straight flush draw on top of his already made straight. Harman checked, setting the trap. Zeidman bet 1,000, unaware that his situation had taken a turn for the worse. Despite flopping a straight and gaining a straight flush draw, his only winning scenario now required the 7 of diamonds, the sole card in the deck that could save him. Harman, who was in control of the hand, sprang into action with a raise to 3,000. Zeidman could only sit there, shaking his head, unaware that just one single card in the entire deck, the 7 of diamonds, could rescue him.
How can I get off of this hand?
Every decision in the main event magnified. Both have monster hands. You lose this hand, your day just might be over.
I think he might have ace-king, actually. I was hoping it wasn't that. Now I'm hoping something else.
He may have reasoned that if Harman had ace-king, she'd already have the higher straight, and if a flush came in, his might prevail. Still, despite the risks, Corey Zeidman made the call. We're headed to the river now, and Jennifer Harman holds a massive lead in the hand. Then comes the river card. It's the ideal card for Zeidman. The 7 of diamonds completes his straight flush. Jennifer, sitting on a full house and unaware of the devastating river twist, leads out with a bet of 3,000, enough to put Zeidman all in.
I guess I could do a lot of sightseeing if I lose this hand.
Then, without hesitation, Zeidman moves all his chips into the pot. The hand is done. Zeidman scoops it. With a quiet but telling voice, Zeidman declares, "Straight flush." Harman responds, "I knew you had that hand." That river card is bound to linger in her thoughts for a long time. Similarly, the next player experienced a devastating moment that brought him to tears. With only 12 players left in the 2010 WSOP main event, Matt Affleck was in second place with chips when he was dealt pocket aces against the chip leader. However, disaster soon followed. Matt, sitting on the button, made a re-raise to $1.55 million. Then Duhamel re-raised it to just over $3.9 million. Duhamel, intrigued, could have 5-bet or even gone all in, but Matt opted just to call. The flop revealed 10, 9, and 7, leaving Matt still in a strong position with his aces, while Duhamel picked up a gut shot draw and checked. Affleck, confident with his aces, bet $5 million, hoping Duhamel held a strong pocket pair, which would add at least another $5 million to the pot. Duhamel called, bringing the pot to over $18 million. The turn brought the queen of diamonds, and Duhamel checked again. In his usual manner, Affleck announced all in for $11.6 million, believing that Matt wouldn't push with anything less than aces, kings, or a set. Duhamel contemplated deeply before making the call. 10s or 9s. Kings, right? Good job, he remarked. The pot was massive. with Affleck on the verge of becoming the chip leader. If Duhamel got lucky, he would take a commanding lead. Affleck was ahead and just one card away from delivering a significant blow to Duhamel. Tension filled the air at the Rio. This was the most critical river card of the tournament, as Matt needed to avoid a king, jack, or 8. When the river card was revealed, it was an 8! This was a devastating setback for Matt Affleck, as Duhamel hit his card and sent Matt packing. Heartbroken, Affleck watched as all his chips went to Duhamel, who now boasted over 50 million. Matt Affleck's slow reaction spoke volumes, capturing the bittersweet nature of poker, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat, all hinging on one disastrous river card. But that previous bad beat had nothing on what came next, an absolutely crushing moment involving poker icon Mike the Mouth Matusow. The 2005 World Series of Poker main event final table was a spectacle of high-stakes drama, and one of its most unforgettable moments came in a clash between Steve Danneman, Scott Lazar, and Mike Matusow. The tension was palpable as the cards were dealt, and the crowd leaned in with bated breath. Danneman, holding pocket jacks, opened the action with a raise to $250,000. Lazar, sitting on pocket aces, re-raised to 1.25 million chips. Whoa! That's a monster hand! Then came Matusow with pocket kings, who shoved all in, covering both opponents. The table gasped, "What a showdown!" Danneman wisely folded his jacks, leaving Lazar and Matusow to battle it out. Then the flop came. Queen, 6, king. Matusow hit a set of kings and erupted in celebration, thinking he had crushed the aces. But poker is a game of suspense, and the turn brought the 2 of hearts, giving Lazar a flush draw. "Oh my goodness!" someone exclaimed from the rail. Then came the river jack of hearts. Lazar completed his flush and the room exploded in disbelief. "Unbelievable!" shouted the commentators. Matusow's face fell as his dreams of a second main event title were dashed in a single heartbeat. Matusow looked stunned, hands on head, pacing the stage as his chip advantage imploded into chaos. That instant felt like the start of the famed Matusow meltdown. Even ESPN commentators declared it one of the most dramatic pot flips in WSOP history. Meanwhile, Lazar surged from the bottom of the counts to join the leaders, energized by that double up. His momentum felt contagious as he rode it into the middle of the final table. Lazar's calm demeanor throughout the hand was remarkable. Despite the crushing odds on the flop, he held firm, and when the river hit, he leapt from his seat in triumph. "Yes! Yes!" he shouted, fists pumping. It was a moment of pure poker glory. However, his brief surge would later fade under relentless pressure. In the end, Joe Hashim claimed the bracelet and $7.5 million, while Danneman finished as runner-up for $4.25 million, his amateur story earning him widespread respect. Lazar ultimately finished 6th, for about $1.5 million, but that single hand immortalized him alongside Matusow and Danneman in poker lore, a truly memorable moment. To this day, that showdown between aces, kings, and the rivered heart flush remains a classic poker moment, a reminder of how one turn of a card can swing fortunes in an instant. Next up, let's move to another dramatic hand. At the final 4 of the Heads Up No Limit Hold'em Championship, tension crackled in the air as Doug Polk stared down Chris Brewer. Polk looked down at 2 queens unsuited, but still powerful, and opened with a raise to $45,000. Brewer, however, had an even bigger hand, 2 kings of mixed suits. He didn't just call, he 3-bet to $180,000. The pressure mounted as Polk fired back with a 4-bet to $490,000, creating an electric standoff. After sizing up the moment, Polk took a deep breath and shoved all in. What a bold move! Brewer, holding the stronger hand, made the call, and just like that, the 2 heavyweights were all in pre-flop in a dramatic showdown. The flop came down, 6, 8, 5. Gasps echoed through the room. No help yet for Polk, who needed a miracle. The turn brought another 5, still no queen. The tension was unbearable. Then came the river. Queen of diamonds! The crowd erupted. Wow! Someone shouted as Polk's arms shot into the air in disbelief. He had spiked the queen on the river to survive and win. In pure elation, Polk ran around the stage, roaring with joy. It was a stunning comeback, a moment of sheer poker magic that reminded everyone why they love this game. Now, let's come to a crazy hand that caused significant uproar. In one of the most electrifying hands of the 2007 World Series of Poker, tension filled the room like thick smoke before a storm. Brett Ritchie, holding a powerful pair of kings, made the opening move by raising to 80,000, a calculated decision, confident yet cautious. But then came the unexpected twist. Beth Shack, seated across the table, slowly revealed her hand. Pocket aces, 1 heart, 1 diamond. Gasps rippled through the crowd. After a brief pause, she raised. And then, with a sudden surge of boldness, shoved all in with her entire stack of 504,000 chips. The stakes had just exploded, and everyone leaned in, sensing a major clash was brewing. Before the room could fully digest Shack's aggressive play, poker legend Phil Hellmuth glanced at his cards and stood up immediately, his face a mixture of disbelief and determination. He, too, had pocket aces. What were the odds? With no hesitation and dramatic flair, Hellmuth loudly declared, "All in!" The atmosphere turned electric. 2 players with aces and 1 with kings. Back to Ritchie now. Visibly shaken but weighing his odds, he took a long pause. The math was cruel, the pressure suffocating, but then he pushed forward. "I'm all in," he said firmly. The pot had now ballooned to a jaw-dropping $1.247 million. Spectators were on the edge of their seats. This wasn't just poker. It was a heavyweight title fight with every chip on the line. The dealer burned a card and laid out the flop. Tension reached a fever pitch. First came the 10, then a 3, then a 7, 2 spades among them. "Oh, wow!" someone muttered under their breath. Ritchie leaned in, eyes glued to the felt. None of the flop cards helped him. He needed a king, and only a king, to shatter the dominance of those aces and pull off a miracle. For now, Hellmuth and Shack were still ahead, their identical monster hands locked in an iron grip on the pot. The crowd remained silent, as if even breathing might alter the course of fate. Then came the turn card, an 8 of clubs. "No help," a voice from the rail whispered. Ritchie's window was closing fast. Still no sign of that elusive king. With every second that ticked by, the weight of what was about to happen became heavier. Finally, the river fell. The 4 of clubs. That was it. No miracle, no drama at the river. The hand was over, and the result was crystal clear. Phil Hellmuth and Beth Shack, both holding pocket aces, had officially triumphed, splitting the massive pot between them. Ritchie, despite holding kings, a hand many would die for, was outplayed and outdrawn in this brutal clash of titans. The room erupted in cheers, applause, and a few sympathetic groans. What a hand! What a showdown! It wasn't just about cards, it was about heart, timing, and the raw emotion that poker at its highest level delivers. For Ritchie, it was heartbreak. For Hellmuth and Shack, it was a moment of glory. Moments like these remind us why the World Series of Poker remains one of the most thrilling stages in competitive card history. It's rare enough for 2 players to be dealt pocket aces about a 1-inch, 1,200 chance. But what happens in this next hand is beyond belief. The odds are a staggering 1 in 12 million. Just wait until you see what unfolds when pocket rockets clash in a $1 million buy-in tournament. In one of the most jaw-dropping hands ever played in a high-stakes Las Vegas poker tournament, Kerry Katz found himself holding the dream hand, pocket aces. With the blinds climbing and pressure building, Katz confidently raised to 225,000. Players started peeling away. Solomon mucked his 6-3, and Seaver also folded his cards without hesitation. But then, in a stunning twist of fate, Connor Drainen looked down from the big blind and saw the exact same hand, pocket aces, but in a different suit. What are the odds? Instead of just calling Drainen re-raised to 580,000, throwing the table into suspense, Katz paused. The tension was thick, every movement deliberate. Perhaps sensing strength or simply unwilling to back down, he pushed back with a re-raise to a whopping 2 million. The room began to buzz. Drainen, after a brief pause, went all in. It was a monumental bet, but Katz didn't flinch. He called. Just like that, the 2 titans went head-to-head, each armed with the best starting hand in poker. Spectators leaned in closer, breath caught between lips. The pot was enormous, and with both players holding rockets, everyone knew it would come down to the community cards. The flop hit the felt, a 2, a king, and a 5, 2 of them hearts. "Oh wow!" someone gasped from the rail. Still, nothing to separate the players. Both were hanging on with identical high pairs, and it was impossible to tell who would survive unless the board ran out unusually. Then came the turn, 4 of hearts. That changed everything. Dreenan, who held the ace of clubs and ace of diamonds, remained in danger, while Katz, holding ace of hearts and ace of spades, now had the potential for a flush. Hearts were brewing, and the tension hit a boiling point. Now all eyes were locked on the river. Silence fell like a curtain over the room. The dealer revealed the final card. 2 of hearts! Unbelievable, gasped the crowd. The room erupted in stunned disbelief. That river card sealed the fate of Dreenan. With 5 hearts on the board and Katz holding the ace of hearts, he completed a powerful flush. Despite both men holding pocket aces, only one would emerge victorious, and heartbreakingly for Dreenan, it wasn't him. This hand became an instant legend. Aces versus aces, an ultra-rare collision. But it was the slow, merciless drip of fate that made it unforgettable. Dreenan, crushed by a cruel runout, could only watch as Katz scooped the massive pot. It was a reminder of poker's brutal beauty. Even when the math is on your side, the river has its own story to tell. And on this night in Las Vegas, it told a story of triumph, shock, and the raw sting of bad luck. And that's all for this episode. Thanks a ton for watching. If you liked the strategy breakdown or the drama at the table, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Poker King Strategy channel. There's more coming, more insights, more analysis, more unforgettable hands. Don't miss out on the action. Until next time, may your cards be live and your reads be spot on.
No, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man,